Hey guys, welcome back. Alrighty, we are going to get going today with our next part of Chapter 7. Today we're going to be dealing with Lesson 7.2, which is talking about writing fractions as sums. And we're about to look at what that is going to mean when we're writing them as sums. So when we are looking at decomposing fractions, that means that we are breaking them apart. Okay, so we added fractions together yesterday, and now we're going to look at how we can turn around and do the opposite and take this fraction and write it as the addition problem. All right, so what is one way that we could decompose or break apart 3/4? Well, we can look at it like this. We can take each one of these fourths and give it its own separate thing. So now instead of 3/4, we have 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. All right, very important. So put a star, a check mark, something next to this little tidbit of information. Anytime you have a fraction with 1 as the numerator, it doesn't matter if it's 1/4, 1/5, or 1/327th. If 1 is the numerator, it is called a unit fraction, okay? So here we have written the sum of 3/4 as unit fractions because these numerators are all 1. So these are all unit fractions. So we've got 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. That's one way that we can write 3/4 as a sum of fractions. What is another way that we can do that? Because the only way to get 3/4 is not 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. There's another way too. What about this way? If we had 1/4 plus, how many fourths is this? 2/4. Very good. So that is another way that we can write that as a sum of fractions. We've got the unit fraction here because it's got that numerator of 1, and then we've just got another fraction here. 1/4 plus 2/4 does give us 3/4. All righty, let's look at this one. Let's look at 2 ways that we can break apart and rewrite 3/5 as a sum of fractions. So we've got 1/5 plus 2/5. That's one way. What if we wrote it as a sum of unit fractions? What would that look like? Which one of these is a unit fraction, 1/5 or 2/5? Very good. Yes, this is our unit fraction because it has the numerator of 1. So if we were going to write 3/5 as a sum of unit fractions, how many 1/5 pieces would we need? Very good. We would need 3. 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. Okay? So there is 2 ways that we have broken apart 3/5 and written as a sum of fractions. All right, let's look at this one. We've got 5/8. Okay, so what is one way that we could write 5/8 as a sum of fractions? Basically, you're looking at it as what addition problem with fractions could I write that would give me 5/8 as the total? Kind of like if I said, what can you add together to get 4? You might say 2 plus 2, 1 plus 3, 3 plus 1, right? Those are just different ways to show it. So one way we could do 5/8 is we could do 3/8 plus 2/8. Is that the only way? Nope. Let's look at another way. We could also say 2/8 plus 2/8 plus 1/8. 2 plus 2 plus 1 is 5. What if we were to write it as a sum of unit fractions? What would that look like if we were to write it as a sum of unit fractions? So first off, which of these fractions is the unit fraction? Very good. The 1/8 is the unit fraction. So if we wanted to write 5/8 as a sum of unit fractions, it would look like this. 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8. We've got all of these unit fractions right here with our numerators of 1, and we've got 5 of them, so we can have 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, which would give us 5/8. All right, let's look at one more. Got 7/10. Or let's do 2 more. I think we've got 2 more in here. We got 7/10. 2 ways that we can break this apart and write it as a sum of fractions. Be thinking of some ways in your head. Okay, I'm going to give you just like 10 seconds to think of some ways and see if they're 2 of the ways that we show up with here. Do, 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 do. All right, we've got this way. We can do 5/10 plus 2/10. 5 plus 2 gives us 7. That 10 stays the same. Or we could also do 3/10 plus 3/10 plus 1/10 would give us 7/10. Another way could be 6/10 plus 1/10, or 4/10 plus 3/10. Or if we were to do unit fractions, we could have 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10. I think you know where this is going, right? Plus 1/10 plus 1/10. And then we would have 7/10. Just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be writing it as a sum of unit fractions. Okay, so there are several ways that we are able to break down fractions to rewrite them as a sum of fractions. Remember, a sum is the answer to an addition problem. All right, last one, 4/5. Okay, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to think of some ways that you can rewrite 4/5 as a sum of fractions. Okay, is this one of the ways you came up with? 2/5 plus 2/5? Very good. And this way is our sum of unit fractions. 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. Okay, remember unit fractions have that numerator of 1. Are these the only 2 ways? No, we could have also done 3/5 plus 1/5 as well. Or 2/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5, or 2/5 plus, you know, we've got plenty. So if your way did not show up here, that is okay. All right, guys, I hope these PowerPoints are helpful to you to see them a little bit brighter, a little bit bigger, and just presented in a different way. I just wanted to change things up a little bit to see if it helped at all. So I hope you all are liking it. I hope it is still helping you. All right, guys, that is it for today's lesson. As always, please make sure that you are always checking your folders for any practice that you might have to go along with this lesson. And you can always come back to these videos as well if you need a quick refresher. All right, guys, have a great day. I will see you tomorrow.